It's one last time on F123, one last time in Season 10 of RPL, the longest F1 Tier 1 season to date in the league, and this should be a very fun one. It is Brazil as the season finale for the first time in RPL Tier 1 in a couple of seasons, so let's find out how the drivers will tackle this event tonight. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and alongside me for tonight's event, we have RPL Titan Iron once again. Titan, we have a battle still going on for second place in the Constructors. That's our only battle. We have the Drivers' Championship wrapped up, the Constructors' Championship wrapped up, but second place still up for grabs between Ferrari versus McLaren and Mercedes, who are the outliers, but still have a long shot at this second place finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, where in the world you are uh, that's watching this stream. Yeah, it is a very tight fight between the Ferrari and the McLaren teams. Anything is logical, anything is possible. And here we are in the final race of the season, one of the longest seasons in Tier 1. This is going to be really fun. I mean, as you mentioned, Drivers' Championship is all wrapped up. Constructors, there's still plenty of fight to go around. And to be fair, second place, that's not the only fight that's going on as well. Because we still have a bit of a three-way fight for seventh in the Constructors as well.
So if you were not here for Tier 2 yesterday in Japan, the Constructors' Championship was wrapped up with it being in Ferrari's favor, but we had a new Grand Prix winner for the first time. It was still JG, RPL's most popular driver outside of the community, the man with nearly 20k subscribers, getting the chance in Ferrari, getting his first podium and his first victory. JNT Gaming making out a Ferrari 1-2, the first 1-2 finish in Tier 2 in 16 weeks. And Blue Goggy got his first chance in a top 5 car, and he got a second Tier 2 podium. So a lot to talk about from Tier 2 last night, Titan, heading into this event. And could we get another first-time winner tonight?
Well, I mean, we've had some really wild first-time winners. We had guys like Owen. Well, first, I'm 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 messing up my meaning on it. But a possibility for a first-time winner. We have a couple of people that could potentially get it done. I mean, there's Minico who's in the Ferrari tonight. He is a possibility to get it done. Carlson or Joe Speed, both of them in McLaren, they put up a very powerful fight in Mexico last week. But to be fair, they're going up against Cookie, who has been on a dominant path and a half, so to speak. So, I mean, you can't rule it out, but with Cookie, it's basically like trying to climb up a wall while completely loaded on butter and grease.
Well, there is one thing Cookie can do tonight, Titan. He can get Red Bull Racing's 90th F1 win in RPL. He can also get the most most podiums in a single season. I'm trying to jump the gun a little bit, as you can see, but most podiums in a single season, which he's currently got tied with Luke Grange right now, 19 apiece there.
Dang.
Yeah, a lot of things for this event tonight that we'll be looking out for, Titan. Last week in Mexico, we had Skither beat Cookie and break a 5 consecutive win win streak. I'm getting ahead of myself. I really am. A 5 consecutive win streak he broke. But Cookie's still on the podium for a 6 consecutive race streak, at least though. So there's that we can look forward to and see if that continues in the next season from tonight. But yeah, Skither took the fight to Cookie, beat him. TB knocked out in Q2 last week and ended up getting onto the podium. It was quite the race in Mexico. I would say it was one of the top 5 races of the season. It was that intense.
Yeah, it was a wild fight just seeing Skither and Cookie brawl back and forth, back and forth. Skither just buying his time with the right moment with the DRS playing on the main straight and out of turn three. Used it to his advantage and managed to fend off Cookie in the last lap. I mean, I was worried. I thought he did it a bit too early, but he proved me wrong by holding Cooking back, and he wound up getting the better of the Red Bull.
It was such a fun fight though because we thought we'd see a 1v1 between them and Brazil, and Cookie then said that was your one opportunity there right there in Mexico, and decided to give Cam the chance who he was thinking of giving it to in Japan or a little bit after Japan, when the constructors and drivers were wrapped up. So now Cam will have his opportunity tonight in Brazil for the finale to go head to head with Cookie and find out who will prevail in that one. We have to talk about, though, in this event, Titan, some of the previous Brazil races. Last season here, we had Korsman take the victory over Reese, and originally Cryptic was on the podium, but he lost in the stewards room to Bourbon in the Aston Martin, which was very interestingly indeed. Also, the season before that, we had a race where it was the last Xbox All podium with Luke Grange at the time, who's now on PC, the fake TB, and Red Fire Tiger's last podium to date. That was Alpine's last podium to date at the time, but obviously that's kind of been changed a little bit with Jack Miles, Leo Lund getting podiums for them this season. And then even before that, season 7, TB and Skither, they had a collision, and that was super big for the championship heading into Abu Dhabi, which was Skither versus the Chiller. Before that, Red Fire Tiger was within striking distance of Skither in season 6 to pull off the victory and couldn't do it. And then season 5, Jack Miles, you spoke about this. You were literally losing your voice over it. That's how big it was. He got loaned out to Red Bull, or at least moved up to Red Bull for that day, and got the chance to race with them. Won originally, but then lost it in the stewards room. And that was a very big moment. It was the season finale, I believe, or maybe the penultimate round in season 4. And the season 2 race was the last one on the F1 2019 game cycle, and that was a full wet event. That was Haas's best qualifying, I think, at the time. It was either Mexico or Brazil that season, but I know both Haas's definitely put up the fight to try and get to the podium. They've not had a single podium Titan yet in RPL F1, but hey, with that race, we proved in RPL, let alone at Brazil as a whole, you could have a full wet event anytime, any place, and that race was quite chaotic. Hey, that race was a first-time winner with NUFC Ryan, and it was the end of the game cycle. It'll be the same thing tonight, like I was speaking about earlier with Cam. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot to look forward to, Titan.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to think about, lots of things going over, and adding on with a little bit more history, I think you did mention this piece, and I'll mention it as well. Brazil season 8, TB wound up claiming his first championship.
True.
After finishing in the podium in the Ferrari at that time. It was his first championship. The constructors did not go the way for Ferrari. It went to Red Bull at that time, but TB getting that championship was a feel-good moment for him. But yeah, with 18 in, we were supposed to have a 19th, that being Axe, but he's not here at this present moment. But 19 in this field is going to be pretty dang fun.
Yes, it will be. This should be quite the event. Let's talk about some headlines, penalties to be served, some changes. After the incident last week in Mexico, Matthew Bassett was banned. That was pretty unacceptable behavior. I didn't even know how to describe it. That was kind of how that was for that incident with him and Gecko and him and DeChiller in Mexico. Just quite unacceptable. You can be a fast driver and not lose your temper, but he is a fast driver and he lost his temper there in turn 2 and the last corner as well. Joseph, full-time driver for next season in Alpine. We have 2 Tier 3 contracts signed. DeChiller and Hunted, they both have a qualifying ban. Let's see, what else do we have? 2 Williams available on next game as well for Season 11. And Titan, we speak about this being the last race of the F123 game cycle, quite an end of an era, but also it's a lot of people's last race with their current academies or their current teams specifically. The Chiller, it's not his last race with the Ferrari Academy, but it's his last race with Ferrari before going back to Kick Sauber. For certain academies, though, Tadpole's last race with Alpine Academy, Redfire's last race with Red Bull Academy, Egg's last race with Merc Academy, and Valkyrie was maybe thinking it was going to be her last race yesterday in Tier 2, but she's here today in Tier 1 and going to have potentially her last race of F123 unless she buys F124. It could be her last race in the top tiers, though, because I think she's sounding like she's going to stick to F2. And also, Blue Gagi, he's been banned quite a bit for a while in Tier 1. He's not raced since Spa last season, which was the halfway point. However, with Blue Gagi, although he's loaned out to Red Bull Academy tonight, Titan, it's his last race under the Ferrari Academy banner, though.
Yeah, a lot of people switching all over the place as we get ourselves prepared for F124. And as you were mentioning, there are actually some drivers that um, well, we will not be seeing for either for a long while or may not see race again. Because as you mentioned last week when Matt Bissett banned for his disgusting massive behavior. By the way, if you want to really see fully on what happened on that, feel free to take a look at our YouTube channel. It's RPL Formula One. Feel free to like and subscribe on all of our videos and get caught up with all of our seasons, and you'll see what happened with Matt Bissett and that one. But back to that with last week. Luke Grange, who raced in Mexico and had a little bit of fun with Hunted, wild, what did I say at one point? It kind of got X-rated at that point.
Oh man, remind me.
But that is technically going to be Luke's last race, for RPL for either a while or maybe his last ever one, because Luke is, at the moment, last I know, he is not getting F124.
And even if he does, I don't even think he'd be in a full-time seat. He's probably going to do what he did at the very beginning of Season 9 and just kind of hop around teams in reserve here and there if he chooses to do so. He's had a lot more fun in iRacing from the looks of things. So, yeah, Luke Grange, last season, Titan in Monza. We speak about this game cycle, and we'll continue to speak about this game cycle before we cover any laps. That win in Monza, maybe his last ever RPL win?
My memory's right. That was win number 92 for the guy across all three tiers of RPL, mainly RPL in Tier 1, Tier 2, and in F2.
If you include the time and equal as well, which we do have the results of in the storage bin, total of win number 95 that was. However, if you go against the RPL rules, though, and this is really stretching it, by the way, because I want to talk about this if he does get next game, and we do see him race on a more consistent basis, even if it's just F2. If you include the alt accounts that Luke was able to get away with, now this is kind of being a little bit funny here, because there was a time and period in RPL F2 where there was alt accounts, and some got away with it, very few, and a lot didn't. Luke did get away with it with 3 race victories, meaning if you include that, he'd have a total of 98 race victories across all the RPL tiers. If he does race next game, and he does get another win, preferably in F2 I would think it'd be in, we'll definitely be talking about the potential of a 100th race victory from Luke Grange, which would be quite the storyline, Titan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it looks like we have a lot of guys out on track at this present moment. I'm currently on board with Blue Gagi. I was on board with Joe Speed a little bit ago. He set a benchmark time of an 8-1 here at the Interlagos circuit. I'm on board with Blue Gagi as he's making his way through the switchback corners. So we have called the Brazil humps here. As he now makes his way down the hill, flat out towards the end of Sector 2. And he comes across it. There's a 52.4 for Sector 2. Now back up the hill to come across and just flat out getting up to the DRS. These guys can get up to 200 miles an hour just straight by themselves. You may see some guys go up to 205, maybe close to 210 in DRS. But Blue
Very
Gagi,
true.
basically a 9.5 for him.
Red Fire Tiger, his teammate for tonight, was on a lap, but was trying to pick up some slipstream from the Alpha Tari, or no, that was the Haas, excuse me, coming out of the pit lane, but almost wrecked the race car. Jack Miles is on a lap. How about Jack Miles, who almost won here once? We're going to go on board with him and talk about this. The Senna S's usually ends up being trouble on the opening laps here in RPL, as proven before in history with the way things have gone. Now approaching turn 4, the Red Pasta. This is a tricky corner for racing wheel to wheel. We've seen many coming together here in this area. Skither and TB we spoke about most notably in Tier 1, but how about Owen and Bonky and Reese late in the Tier 2 race back in Season 4 there? That was a troubling spot. Now in here in Sector 2, it's going to be a much more tricky place to overtake if you're a driver. You've got to get it done on those 2 DRS straights there, heading into Turn 4 and into Turn 1. That's going to be the big overtaking spots for tonight's event. Hopefully Jack does not get blocked by the Ferrari here, who's starting a lap, or completing a lap. That is Minico. Minico does look to get out of the way. Jack Miles will cross the line now, and then I'll get you doing a lap here at Titan. Jack Miles is coming in. No, he's not. Actually, he's just darting to the white line. See, that's the tricky thing from drivers we'll have to keep an eye on. There'll be some that end up darting to the white line to try to gain time, and there'll be some that end up pitting, and we don't recognize it, so we'll just have to notice it late. One other thing to mention, Titan, before we get to Dom's lap, as Owen goes fastest in the Mercedes. Won here once in Tier 2 with it. Valkyrie, at her home race, is serving a qualifying ban. She's the only home driver in tonight's event. Dom is on the mediums, and he is making a last Tier 1 start before going full-time in this ride next season. Take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go as Dom currently going up the hill from left hand of turn 6. Had to leave off a little bit off the power, heading into the braking zone of 7. Now into 8. Feather the brake, feather the throttle as he gets back up. Pulls only up a gear before going into the next heavy braking zone of turn 9. Now back into it, back up to the gears, down the hill. Careful not to get some snap oversteer. He comes across next into turn number 12. I know my corner numbers are probably off, but now down the main straight, just hanging it on out there. Actually. Through there he goes, and coming across the line. Dom on those mediums, 6th fastest on the mediums.
He made a mistake on the lap, but he can figure it out. Cam in the Red Bull, he's in the lobby now, of course. Same with Axe, who's in the Alfa Romeo. Here are some of our drivers on loan for tonight's event, or reserving in higher cars. You have Owen, who's also known as John Fallout, in the first position, but in the Mercedes for tonight. Lugagi in the AlphaTauri. Dom in the Haas. You have Minico in the Ferrari on loan. SV, a full-time Tier 2 driver next season in Tier 3 in the Haas. Red Fire Tiger in the AlphaTauri, Cryptic on loan in the Aston, Cam on loan in the Red Bull, Axe in the Alfa Romeo, Hunted in the Alpine, Egg in the Mercedes, and Tadpole in the Alpine. Egg just slotted it in 3rd fastest. Quite nice from him. We're now going to get a lap from Cam in the Red Bull. His first ever lap in this car, Titan. We didn't get too much of Dom's lap because he was backing off toward the end of that lap after a mistake he made, but now that Cam has gone through the Senna S's, not validated through there, which will be a big point we talk about. Take it away.
Absolutely. Now Cam currently roaring down Reta Opasa, now into the City del Lago, through turns 4 and 5. Now back through the gears, heading into Freddora and Curva de la Ranja, turn 6 and 7, into the braking zone of turn number 8 now. Now has to work these double switchbacks. Turns 9 and 10 here. Into the braking in there. Nice and easy on the throttle. Easy up, easy going. Here he goes. Now down the hill through turn 11, into the second sector split. 51.8, heading to the braking zone of turn number 12. Now back up, hang up into the boxes. 14, 15 coming up. DRS wide open as he just rockets down this track. And he comes across the line, and Cam only 6th fastest in 8.7, which puts him just exactly 2 tenths behind his teammate Cookie, but Jack currently has sandwiched the Red Bulls. And what's more funny is the McLaren of Joe Speed has sandwiched the Mercedes pair.
Interesting. Very interesting. Red Fire Tiger coming through turn 3 now. You gotta hug the inside curb, and you're gonna go toward the outside here. You don't want to clip the grass, though, on the entrance to turn 4. We've seen drivers spin around because of that in the past, but now Red Fire Tiger is 2 seconds up on his time. You can see that time that he did previously, though. That was probably on a backed off lap. Now he's got some traffic in the way. Almost in the way there was the Alfa Romeo. Getting out of the way. Now turn 6 here. Slight lift. You could easily lose the rear. This has happened to multiple drivers here in this section. Reese Dainty, one of the more notable ones in past seasons. But now, downhill, uphill, side to side. This is kind of the way this area is with this track. And as you go through here to end off sector 2, you're going to probably slide if you just ride those curbs like Red Fire did any bit longer. Now, last braking zone, that's turn 12. You were right about that earlier, Titan. That's Jun Shao. Turn 13, 14, and 15 as you approaches the line. These are only corners, but you don't have to brake at these corners in comparison to the braking zone down at turn 12. Across the line now, Red Fire Tiger comes, and he will go 7th fastest, just 2 tenths clear of his teammate right there on that lap. Very neatly done. We've got next coming across the line, Axe, who took fastest lap in the USA race, his last start. He only was able to put it 13th fastest, so a lot of these guys, you could tell, on banker laps or just really maybe trying to practice some race pace with how much slower they might be, just getting ready because only one guy will go out here on pace.
Yeah, and Red Fire did have a bit of a slight struggle on the exit of turn 6 and again out of turn 9, where he just had a slip up, just had some snaps of understeer on that car, but he kept it in control. Minico coming across the line now. He puts us now 3rd fastest in that Ferrari. So a lot of these guys, the times are starting to fall down. Well, now coming down, the question is who is going to be the bottom 3 in regards to drivers with times?
That is a really good question. The Chiller invalidated his lap, so he's going to need to go again. That's really unfortunate for him. TSR Cryptic on a lap. He was once an Aston Martin driver in RPL, but now he's an Aston Martin driver for tonight's event on loan. This game cycle, Cryptic has had quite a few poles, but in terms of his race wins, the only one comes over in F2. And it was nice to see him win there for the first time, in F2 I believe it was, but his F1 career on the F123 game cycle has been a little lackluster. That win was missing in Red Bull, especially considering the top cars he was in, but when he's done the reserve appearances this season, except for last week in Mexico, they've all ended up quite great, to say the least. We'll have to find out if he can replicate any of those results he pulled off in those backmarker cars earlier in the season at races like Portugal and Canada. He's 26 seconds up on his lap. That indicates that he's gonna get out of the bottom 4 here. And being 26 seconds up either means you had a really shocking first lap or you're having a really good second lap. Carlson goes fastest. Where does Cryptic come? As he crumbs across the line, he's going to be 10th fastest. So that's 10 drivers within a second there, Titan. But the interesting thing I'm looking at now is it might be an Alfa Romeo race here out of the bottom 4. It's right now Alex Fox Johnson on the bubble and Axe currently out.
Well, don't forget the Chiller. Wait, the Chiller has a qualifying ban that he has to do, right?
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, so there's only 2 guys left. I completely forgot the Chiller had a qualifying ban. So yeah, there's going to be a battle. It's basically going to be a battle between, by the looks of it at the moment, it's going to be between AlphaTauri, Haas, and Alfa Romeo to see which one of them is going to be knocked out of this session. As currently, just looking at the times right now, SV and Dom, their fastest lap was done on the medium compound tire. Alex Fox's best lap came on the 6th lap on the intermediate tires that he was on, and Axe, his best lap was on brand spanking new softs.
Cookie, for I feel like the 3rd or 4th week in a row, or 3rd or 4th week of the last 6 or 7 weeks, it seems like. doing another lap on the mediums and going faster on it, doing a bit of race pace practice. Maybe that's also why Cam is back out there. Cam mentioned not doing a lot of practice prior to this race. You're going to see him be up here at Gasly. Well, let's go on board with him and do this once again. On the run to turn 4, up by 71 thousandths. Now you're going to brake at that 50-meter board, hug these curbs, and you can easily get a snap of oversteer, understeer, just like he did right there. Lost the rear end. And now, how will that error impact the rest of this lap? A slight lift right here. Goes a bit wide, sliding. Yep. Remember, Titan, he's safe. He doesn't even need to do this lap.
Yeah, he really needs to take care of it, because where he just snapped off, there's been we've had wrecks, we've had spins out there. You mentioned Reese being one of those drivers that had that spin in there, so he really needs to be a bit careful here. And yeah, I mean, despite those snaps, he's only 2/10 down. Whoa, baby!
Wow. I think they're lucky that was not a grip penalty. Almost a Red Bull teammate collision.
Oh god, that was very close.
Both AlphaTauris are coming back out on track to try and redeem themselves and make sure they're going to get into the next round of qualifying.
I think Cookie's going to need a new change. Is going to need a new change of suit from that little spook.
I agree with that. Hey, it's the Indy 500 weekend for those of you tuning in. It should be great to see what happens for the greatest day in racing tomorrow. You got F1, you got IndyCar, you got MotoGP, you got NASCAR, you got all those series. And Axe started his league racing career over on the NASCAR games, transferred over to F1 on F1 2017, got to Challengers, and that's why we talk about him so highly here in RPL. A 10th up on the time. Is this going to be good enough to get through into the next round of qualifying? That fastest lap in Texas was quite impressive. And when we release later on next week a 30 minutes of overtakes video on the RPL YouTube channel, his race in Japan, his first ever start there, was quite the interesting one, considering the last lap overtake he made on Egg, or it was KVS, one of the two. Little slide there from the rear. You can see that car is a little upset in the rear, but is this going to be an improvement here through this section? 2 seconds of an improvement. I think he's going to have to go for a second lap here, a minute remaining.
That's possible, but don't forget, he doesn't have much battery available to him, so he's not going to have time to recharge it. But let's see what Axe has as he comes across the line now. And it's 12th fastest, so he is just barely ahead, but it just all depends on what the other guys are going to be doing. Let's see, AFJ currently right now, just coming across sector 2. He is 3.6 seconds up. Jeez Louise,
wow.
That's going to put him in the 9-0 right now, which will put him ahead of Red Fire at this moment. Now let's see what happens as Alex Fox coming across the line. 20 seconds remaining left in this qualifying session, and AFJ 6th fastest. Good Lord Almighty.
Since returning to RPL, he's had quite the qualifying experience, and he puts it 6th fastest. How about that? Dom said he had no setup. It's over for him. Well, guess what? It is not over until it's over. He's at least going to beat his teammate, but will it be Blue Goggy or Axe he beats as well? It is Blue Goggy, but not Axe. Blue Goggy and Red Fire Tiger the next to cross the line. Red Fire Tiger improves. He stays 12th, though. Blue Goggy is next trying to get himself out of this bubble zone, and he will get up another place. Make it 2 places for Blue Goggy. He's ahead. Axe backed off. He didn't go for a second one, but the guy who is on a second one is SV, and it's going to be all up to him versus Dom, the teammate. And you can just see so far from this lap with SV, he is struggling. Like I said in the Tier 2 race Titan yesterday, he's going to be one of the drivers to benefit from an RPL Tier 3 next game. He'll be in the McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely. SV being the first ever signing for Tier 3 for next season, and he is going to be going in there. My God, he's half a second up after sector 2.
Wow, I did not think this lap was possible for him to at least have a chance to dispatch Dom. Dom not putting on a setup is going to really affect him massively for this event. SV coming across the line. It is an improvement, but it's not enough. He did lose a little bit of time in that last sector. He's out of qualifying. He'll be joining Hunted, DeChiller, and Valkyrie, a part of that bottom 4 area. SV, though, eliminated based on pace.
Yeah, he was over half a second up. I think he might have made a mistake in turn 12. I think that's where he might have slipped up just a bit. But, yeah, so Haas, so basically a car from 4 different teams being knocked out. A Haas, a Haas, an Alpine, a Lone Williams, and a Ferrari out of Q1. Bear in mind, the last three that I mentioned, they had qualifying bans they had to do. I mean, the Chiller because of penalties, Hunted for an old penalty that he had, and Valkyrie just because she was a bit late to the session. But taking a look at this field, here, look how far separated between Owen and Carlson. 3 milliseconds separates those two.
That's insane. I was just trying to say, by the way, sorry to cut in. I was just saying how that's Valk's first Tier 1 start since Miami. Those are only other ones, so at least nice to see her back here in Tier 1. This top 5 is interesting, though, because you got 2 McLarens, you got 2 Mercedes, a Ferrari up there. Joe Speed, Egg, Owen, Carlson, Menico. I mean, all those guys have never won Tier 1 races except for Owen right there in second place. And you see our bottom 4 one more time. SV, Hunted, De Chiller, Valkyrie. Having Hunted and De Chiller have qualifying bans, and at the back of this grid in 2 competitive cars, Alpine have got podiums 2 times this game cycle. Once in Tier 2 at Brazil before. And 2 times this game cycle for Tier 1 to clarify. Once at Brazil in Tier 2 to clarify as well. And a Ferrari, which had quite the recovery with Jack and Josh after being out in Q2 and Q1 with a wet session in qualifying last season. I think with a Ferrari and Alpine being back, they're going to have to charge to the field. I'm going to call it similar to Monaco tomorrow for F1 having Perez and Alonso out in Q1. We're going to have quite the interesting race from those guys trying to charge to the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just taking a look at the F1 chat. SV, he turned off his ERS deployment in turn 12 and forgot to turn it back on after exiting it. So I was wondering why his ERS wasn't deploying, and that's why he was out. That's why he's out.
It's really unfortunate though for him. He was definitely looking at being closer to Dom than he was, but him and Dom are going to be on the back foot, as we know, if Haas want to try to get another place in the Constructors' Championship. Q2 is on, and this session we're going to have 5 eliminated. Looking like it'll be all 5 based on pace here, no crashes or qualifying bans. All the qualifying bans sorted just last session in Q1. And just want to give a reminder, I mentioned this last week. Don't know if I mentioned it already during the stream. I don't think I have. But next season in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, the opening round will be at the same exact circuit. We'll find out what circuit that ends up being on F123. Cryptic taking a slow approach here out of the final corner, now boosting it fully to start this lap. Let's take it away. I'll cover Sector 1, then give it to you in Sector 2, Titan. Yellow flags in the final sector. That's for cars backing off, getting ready to start a lap. Here comes Cryptic. Okay, you want to go toward that right side, then arc it left a little bit there. I kind of combine the words dart and arc right there. But you can see Cryptic kind of open up the steering there for turn 3. Track limit, such a tough spot in turn 1, 2, and 3. You'll have to watch out for that as a driver to not pick up any of those. And same can be said for turn 4, which he almost went out of bounds right there.
Yeah, you have to be careful, really. There, and especially going into turn 6 where he's going through right now. If you get a little too much of that inner curve, you will be subject to a spin there. Now in the braking zone, turns 8 and 9 here. Nice and easy on the power. Getting a little too close in, he does screw it up. Goes a bit too wide out of 9, and he had a validated time. So it's Cam. Cam's validated too. Just switching over to Joe Speed now, who just got a bit of a DRS help from his teammate Carlson. Now through turn 7 now for him, into the braking zone of 8. Nice and easy through there, don't cut too soon in there. Nice and easy right around the white line at turn 9. A little snap there. Now into the braking zone at turn 10. Keeping it nice and chill out of there. Could a little touch the curb into 11. Now through to sector 2. Looks like Nico set the benchmark. 8.5 for him as Joe Speed now through the last couple of corners flat out. DRS coming up. Wide open he comes. Jack, 8.5 now responds to Nico's time. And Carlson responds as well. 8-1 for the McLaren.
Joe Speed. Joe Speed, by the way.
Wait,
He
did I say
is in a
something
second
else?
start. Yeah, he said Carlson.
Oh.
It happens. It happens. Hey, Titan and Ryan blunders. We'll catch him in the next and
Dom's
context after that.
out.
Yes, he is. Dom, I don't think he's crashed, but
Oh, he's in the pit
he's
lane.
retired, and it's because of his setup. I mentioned not having on a setup during Q1. Well, he's screwed for the whole event with it unless we get a restart. That is what the reasoning is for Dom leaving the session. Here comes Egg across the line. It's been over 100 races since his last pole, but currently in Q2, he's the top of our timing charts right now, setting that lap. Further behind that, we've got Cam invalidating a lap, Cookie starting a lap. We'll go on board with Cookie then. Interesting how Cam invalidated that lap. Right in the curbs there at turn 1. Gonna go to the right side for turn 2. Left side, hug these curbs for turn 3. Have the inside line here. DRS wide open, activated for the Red Bull driver. Now down turn 4 here. Sector split, 16 knot on those medium tires once again that he's using. Again, the inside curbs, outside curbs, you just have to use all of them. He opened up the steering there for turn 5 right there, excuse me. And now as he goes to turn 6, quite a bit of a lift right there. Usually can be. You got to be careful in this section. Traction can be a bit tricky. And now in this section, like we said, we won't see a lot of overtaking, so you may as well not make mistakes around here. You can easily do so in your qualifying lap. Carlson fastest 7.8. That is just slightly slower than last season's pole time, a 7.7 that was. Cookie now coming through the sector split. What's this going to be? 51.2. Final braking zone now.
Yeah, a Cookie flat back onto the power to get, and he's back on the mediums that he was on in Q1. So he's gonna have a lot of sauce available to him later on.
God.
He comes across the line, and oh, okay. Well, it just took a little bit for it to happen, but Cookie third fastest on those mediums, 8-1. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest here, but I think if Cookie was on the sauce, he probably would have been maybe a 7.6.
Maybe a little faster than that, maybe 7.5? I don't know.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Well, somewhere around there.
I'll tell you this. The previous pole times around the circuit, for those of you guys getting ready to make predictions in Q3 in just about 10 minutes time, a 7.7 in last season's race for pole position. Remember, some of these qualifying sessions had some wet qualifying before that, so the track was just getting dry, and also, you know, some people having on different setups of the race because of that, whatever it may be. Just keep that in mind when we go through these pole times. 7.8 for the FE race, and in the 3 tier 2 races we had here, 8.1, 7.6, 7.7. So yeah, I think we're gonna have to surely see a 7.5 during Q3 at maybe the minimum, at least for pole. I don't know if that'll be the first run or the second run we see it, but that shall get interesting.
Yeah, it should definitely get interesting, no doubt about it, as we have a couple of guys still out and about back on track to get some times in. Looks like Cryptic is just starting up on his run. Axe, Redfire, they're out last. These guys are in the bottom. They're in the bottom 3. What the heck has happened to Cryptic?
Okay. Well, Cryptic had his lap time deleted for it when he went off. I don't know if he has been doing too much time trial, because usually that's what will happen when I do too much time trial. I'll go off because of being so frustrated and invalidating my lap. So I don't know if that's what he did. I just caught the end of that with you. Redfire Tiger's on the lap. His last podium comes to this circuit. Yeah, well, what happened there? He's got 2 podiums to the circuit, by the way. Redfire, for clarification.
When he came out of turn 2, the car just went straight, so I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe he had a screen freeze, or maybe he had an issue with his equipment or something, but that was just highly unusual.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen something like that. Redfire Tiger now in Sector 2. Downhill section right here. This is where Alex Albon had his hopes and dreams crushed of a podium. Don't remind Lewis Hamilton fans. Now at the end of Sector 2, Redfire Tiger, a little wiggle wobble right there. 6 tenths up though, and this should set him quite well to get into Q3, he'll have to be battling guys like Blue Goggy, Tadpole, and Axe for that spot. Red Fire Tiger across the line now. What's this going to be for the French driver? 9th fastest. I think this race last season was one where a podium potentially got away. He qualified 4th in this race last season, Titan, and it was the race where everything because of qualifying was wide open. You had, I think it was 3 of the top teams, maybe 4, out in Q2 and Q1 due to the mixed condition qualifying that we had. Jack Miles just set it 5th fastest ahead of Owen, an inner academy teammate battle right there between the two. Speaking of that academy, we're on board with Cryptic now. Titan, how about the Section 8? I know we have not talked about it a lot. We talk about the Senna S's where you can get track limits, or the last braking zone, or the start of Sector 2 at Turn 4, Turn 5. But as he comes out of Sector 2, I mean, this is going to be his first lap. What's so interesting about that section to where you just can't overtake in that area in Sector 2?
Literally, what I've noticed is that a lot of the sections of that track, it's very tight. It's very tricky to get your angle just right. There are some interesting overtakes that you can try to do. As I'm on board with Jack, since he's going a little slow through here. Right around here, in this very zone of turn 10 here, you can see some ambitious overtakes down here, but if you're not careful, it can wind up resulting in disaster. Like what happened to Alex Albon in 2020 when he got spun by Luke, when he got spun out. That has happened.
I think the interesting thing as well for a driver in that section, though, is you really don't want to battle often because you will lose DRS to a potential DRS train in front of you. That's the tricky part about it, too. Cam now coming through Sector 2, this exact section we're talking about here. Cam's going to brake a little late here to set himself up for the exit. And he's done just that beautifully. This will be his first lap. We also had someone else improve on a lap. That was Axe. Axe is up to 8th. This is going to promote Bolt Alfa Romeo's into Q3, and Cam is off, and he's doing a little bit of mowing of the grass. He was just purple in Sector 2, and this will hinder his chance of making Q3. He's going to have to go again.
Yeah, it's not good at all for Carlson. He basically did some lawn mowing. I didn't know Red Bull cars can do lawn mowing. As Valtteri Bottas, engineer, said to him in Austria 2020. But yeah, Cam currently the only driver without a time, and I mean I hate mentioning it, but this is basically the point of like a meme in regards to RPL when someone basically has the chiller moments in qualifying. Unfortunately, Cam's having that sort of thing, whether it's
Does seem like it.
whether it's trying to keep it within the track limits or mistakes happening. I think Cam, unfortunately, is having a chiller moment, unfortunately.
He did say expect himself to be like Pierre Gasly tonight, and we're seeing that right now. Here comes Cookie. A little slide right there again into that Alex Albon corner right there. I don't know what it is from these Red Bull guys having slides at the end of Sector 2 or into Sector 3, and this is where Cam went off. Clean from Cookie through here. 4/10 up on the timing charts. Can Cookie be the man to go to the top of the table? You've got Carlson, Minico, Egg. 1, 2, 3 right now with 3 different constructors in that top 3. It will be 3 different ones still if Cookie goes up there, but it'll be a different 3 constructors, and it is a 7-5 from Cookie. The man trying to take
called it.
19th pole on the season. Yeah, I mean, it's true. You're going to see probably even a faster time than that into Q3. I think that's on a new set as well, because remember, he used mediums at the start of this qualifying session, and he also used mediums in Q1 as well. Owen invalidated 9th there. He's going to have to go again. Not good.
No, it's not good at all, especially given where he is right now. He is on the cusp.
Whoa!
Very close to getting knocked out.
Red Bulls! Both of them! Bit of touching this time.
Ooh. Was Cam and Cookie?
I hope Cam did not get front wing damage. Yes, I don't hope Cam didn't get front wing damage there, because right now, Titan, he currently sits in the drop zone, and he needs to get out of it immediately. Axe and everyone else in front of that retires believing they're safe into the next round of qualifying I don't know if Cookie will give Cam a slipstream here or not, but Cam is the one we're on board with now, and he's starting his final lap. 90 seconds remain in this qualifying session, and Cookie does stay out to try and give Cam a slipstream here down to turn 4.
Let's wait and see what's going to be happening as Cam goes through the center S. The only driver yet to set a lap in this Q session. Down,
Not
down
invalidate.
out of the center S into the DRS, down into turn number 4 now, through and firing it up. We get a little bit of the curve out of 5. Don't want to get too much curve because that's an auto spin section right there. Through into 6, out through 7, now into the braking zone, into turn number 8. Nice and easy through there, not bad on the power. Now in the 9, up through gears again, just getting a couple of gears up into the braking zone to turn.
Oh, what happened there to Titan? He cut out. Oh, Titan's lagged out. Either way, I'll continue covering this lap so we don't miss it. Yeah, that's on your end, Titan. Cam's going to pick up a slipstream from Cookie, coming to the start-finish line with 10 seconds remaining, and Cam will be into the next session, third fastest right there. That knocks Alex Fox Johnson to the bottom 5. Blue Goggy invalidated, but he's going to have another go at a lap here. Meanwhile, Alex Fox Johnson crosses the line, and that puts Axe in 10th. So now it's up to Owen to dispatch Axe, and he does just that. Owen's into the next round. Red Fire Tiger, down on the time. Qualified in the top 10 here last season, misses out in Q3. It's up to Blue Goggy, who's down right now, or Tadpole, who's up by 6/10. I think Tadpole's going to be out here, but he might be able to take on a few more drivers to improve his place on the starting order. Tadpole comes across the line now, and it will be an improvement, but by how much? Tadpole is 12th. Blue Goggy, down on the time, will need a bit of hope here in Sector 2. We've got yellow flags in front. I think that Red Bull is either Cam or Cookie, and one of them might be giving Blue Goggy a last-ditch effort here of slipstream down the front straight. Blue Goggy up by a 10th, but this still can improve him a place if Sector 3 is that bad. Cam gonna help out the Academy teammate for tonight on loan. Cam is giving him a massive tow. Look at the overspeed on this AlphaTauri. Even though he's running out of battery, he's at a disadvantage on this lap. But across the line, with that slipstream, he almost beat his teammate. Wow. Massive credit to TSR Cryptic out qualifying Jack in Q2. We'll have to see if he can replicate that for Q3 when it all matters. Both of them into the next round for Aston Martin. Cryptic on loan. Either way, I think the big surprise, Titan, before we go over our bottom 5 who got eliminated, is Axe, because it looked like it was going to be a repeat of last season, getting both Alfa Romeos into the next round. But Axe retired thinking he was safe when he just wasn't. Man. Oh boy. Well, I'm glad you're back in the session, Titan, after lagging out there. We got... It will be. Dom is out. Blue Goggy, Red Fire, Tadpole, Axe, they're also relegated in the bottom 5. Both AlphaTauris out this round. That's the Academy that repeats itself. Same with Alpine, who also saw an elimination in Q1. Red Bull and Red Bull, McLaren and McLaren, Mercedes, Mercedes, Ferrari, both Aston Martins, and an Alfa Romeo. Our top 3, Cookie, Carlson, Cam. We're going to get Titan invite back. I don't know what happened to Titan. He's having a bunch of connection problems, as he'd say. He is getting the treatment to Chiller and Stains he were getting earlier on this game cycle. As for Titan, I think he's back now. Might need to re-include his audio due to the glitch when you leave the party and rejoin it on Twitch. Alex Fox Johnson again. Although KVS is not here tonight and he's missing. Yeah. I was just going to say, Alex Fox Johnson, Titan. Let me just check if your audio is included first. Hold on. All right. All right. Well, it was earlier, so I hope you can get that fixed. All right. We're going to we're gonna get Titan back in here after that. I don't know what's going on there with him. He said, of course, that his audio is not coming through on the end of Twitch, which is very weird. It was probably when he disconnected from the session that happened. He'll have to re-include his audio when he does come back. Either way, chat, there is 8 of you watching. Yes, 8 of you watching. Get your predictions in the Twitch chat now for Q3. Cryptic and Jack in for Aston Martin. I mean, it's the top 5 team Aston Martin in this game. They got the first ever podium for their team on the game cycle back in Australia, on the first ever race of the game cycle in Australia with Cookie. We'll see if they can do that maybe tonight with Cryptic or Jack. That'd be a nice surprise. But the big surprise of this session that I was just trying to talk about prior was Alex Fox Johnson. He's in the Alfa Romeo, and he's getting himself into Q3. He mentioned this potentially being his last race of the game, or last race of RPL, excuse me, where he doesn't get next game. Again, I'm jumping the gun again. I can't be doing that. Yeah, I was just going to say, Alex Fox Johnson mentioned the potential of not getting next game. This being his last RPL race, potentially. A lot of the people saying that. But doing what NRM KVS does, getting himself into Q3, we've got to hype him up for it. Alex Fox Johnson, bravo. So, some droughts could be ending tonight before we invite Titan back. I just want to talk about them. Cam has not seen a pole in 33 races. As for Egg, 108 races ago, his last pole and podium. We're going to get to the start of Q3 here in just a moment, but let's invite Titan back. And just to remind you, it was a 7.5, 7.3 at the top of Q, I believe. One of the two would apply for the fastest time there. But either way, we're on board with Egg now. Coming through. 51.5. He won't be the first guy to set a time, I believe. I think that would have been Cryptic. But I think he invalidated. Could be wrong. Here comes Egg into the pit lane. Yeah. All right, let's see if audio is working this time, Titan. All right, speak.
Okay, so
Hello,
let me
Hello?
ask you this. My audio was working and I could be heard on the stream, no problem, right?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Now I hear myself.
Yeah, yep, I can hear you now. First lap's being set, folks. Owen, Minico, AFJ. 8-0. Who should we focus on, Titan? Cam? How about Cam? Cam had his one and only RPL poll back in Zandvoort.
What is going on with Twitch?
Yeah, I don't know why it's ending up being very staticky. Is it still very staticky, or is it not as staticky on your end?
No, it's fine on my end.
No, I know it's fine on your end. I'm saying for the Twitch stream, though, because with Twitch, not always, but it has your audio. Well, it did have your audio coming out as a little staticky, so I don't know. Cam goes fastest, 7.7. I mean, your audio is included though, and
yeah, my audio is included, right? But I'm looking on the Twitch on my laptop, and it's coming out fine.
It's much better now, I can tell you that, compared to earlier.
I mean, what's weird was that it was working.
I don't know why.
When we were talking earlier, but then all of a sudden I just cut out. But then when I started talking and I was back to normal again, for a brief second, you weren't when you were talking, your audio didn't come out.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was so weird because whenever you disconnected from the game, it must have disconnected your audio through the party when you were connecting. I don't know. I lost you mid-lap and I was wondering, okay, what's going on here? Cam, though, it'd be a 33 race drought he'd be ending if he takes pole position tonight. That was his only other pole in Zandvoort. And right now we got Joe Speed who can dispatch him off the top spot. Let's find out in the sector split 50.9.
Well, we have a bit of a problem because on your screen, because on the Twitch screen, Joe Speed is currently on his lap. He just came across right now. But on my end, he's stuck in the garage.
Who, Joe Speed is?
Yeah, Joe Speed is stuck in the garage.
Huh. Try rejoining the session, maybe? Only thing I could think. I mean, you're able to join back the session
Well, the weird
quite
thing
easily,
is
I
that
think.
he's the only one that's bugged.
Huh.
Everyone else is
That is
fine.
so weird. This happened with me and Minico in Bahrain. You see, this is what I hope for F124. These kind of glitches get fixed immediately whenever they do the day 1 patch and everything else that they need to handle. That's so weird. All right, Egg. I want to try to keep the attention on the lap. This is still so weird. I don't get why that's happening. But Egg, ooh, a little tank slapper there. You saw it from the rear of the car, getting very loosey-goosey here from the Mercedes driver, and he's got Owen right in front of him, who's going to give him a slipstream, but because of the dirty air with Owen in the way, Egg lost it again, and this time he's going to have to pay the price for it, and he's spinning fully around. By the way, both McLarens taking the fight to Cam, all within 25 thousandths of him. Cookie on a lap, we'll go on board with him. 17, 18 seconds now, crossing into Sector 2. Purple in Sector 1 from Cookie. Looking for yet another pole on the season. It'd be his 19th this season. 20th for Red Bull. I mean, this man is unstoppable from the way
his teammate in Sector 1.
Wow. That's quite the difference, Titan. If Cookie can do this. He didn't get pole last week. He didn't get pole the week before that, but he'd be getting quite a percentage in terms of, I think, the best amount in RPL. 50.6. Yeah, in terms of the percentages from pole positions in RPL,
I think
F1,
we're going to see a 7-4 at least.
Yeah, I think the only other guy that is close to him in terms of poles is Luke, but he could be getting an 80% pole position percentage if he stays on pole, which he's just gone to now. A 7-2 Titan. That's fast. Cryptic invalidated.
Yeah, that is super wild. And
wow.
And yeah, and I'm not joking on this because I have no idea. Hopefully it fixes itself when we move into the race, but
agreed.
Cryptic, it has on the stream it has Cryptic and Egg yet to get a lap in, but then but Joe Speed, when he was stuck inside the garage, he set his time, which was the 3rd fastest, but then when he returned back to the pits, on my end, his lap disappeared, basically, like, got delete, like the F1, like the FIA just came in and deleted his lap, because according to my screen, Joe Speed has not set a lap yet.
Oh my god. Well, I'm on with TSR Cryptic right now. We're going through turn 6 here, now turn 7, braking here, and this is the area in Sector 2 I talk about, Titan, where you don't want to lose any bit of time racing wheel to wheel, and it's hard to overtake, let alone in this area. Cryptic just can't invalidate. He's 1 of 2 yet to set a lap. He's got to run to the line, Titan. Where will he go?
Well, knowing him, I probably would say he'd probably be right around with his teammate Jack. Maybe he might take Minico, possibly. But let's see what happens as Cryptic flying his way down the main straight. DRS wide open as he comes across the line. And his time is going to be sitting at a
Not bad.
Yeah, basically half a tenth behind his teammate.
Very good from Cryptic. Potentially our last hot lap of the RPL F123 game cycle. It is Eggles we're on board with. Just want to remind you, the first pole position of this game cycle went in Ferrari's favor with the Chiller. Minico, we've not talked a lot about him. He's currently 6th fastest. He's going to need to pull out a miracle if he wants to do the same thing the Chiller did at the start of this game cycle. We're on board with Egg now. His only RPL F1 pole comes back in Season 5 Portimao. Titan, you weren't there for that day. Neither was I. But this day, Egg has been fast so far in qualifying. Can it translate into Q3? I'm going to give it to you halfway through the lap. 16.9 in the first sector. I think that's very similar to what Cookie and Cam are doing. And considering Egg is the only one yet to set a lap in, this might be his one and done lap. And he's already below 35% on that battery so far.
Yeah, Brazil is, the Interlagos track is notorious for just eating and shredding your ERS. Your ERS deployment. It is basically a ERS cannibal, this track is. As Egg flying his way into the Sector 2. It's a 50.9 for him, so he's looking at a pretty strong run here. I'm probably going to see him maybe maybe third, maybe second, possibly. I'm thinking it's possible, but here he comes. Let's see what Egg's got as he comes across the line. And this fourth fastest
Fifth.
just a little bit behind Carlson.
Fifth to correct you because you're glitched with Joe's speed, by
Yeah,
the way, which
yeah,
is
yeah,
starting the
yeah.
lap now.
You're right.
Cryptic retired, and that was his one and only lap. Jack Miles is on a lap, but we're going to go on board with Joe Speed, who could be chasing after pole position, and he surely is. 54 thousandths up on the time. Now, coming through turn 5 into turn 6 here. Be right on the edge of the curbs right here if you want to maximize your speed. Now, diving here, late braking. Set yourself up here for this corner, the left-hander, then the right-hander. Third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, just up to sixth gear. Now downshifting here. Try to find that extra rotation. And he's just right against the grass. Jack Miles crosses the line to improve up to 7th place, but he's 2/10 up Joe's speed. He could be facing a front row here and taking on both Red Bulls tonight. This would be miraculous from the McLaren driver, and only a second tier 1 start. And he will be an Alpine next season, a downgrade, but is he going to be proving that decision wrong? Across the line,
Ooh.
second, front row for him, 3/10 off of Cookie. Next up is the Mercedes. That's Egg on a cooldown lap. Next is Owen, who invalidated. He might have one more go at it, but the checker flag is out, and oh no! It's a Mercedes teammate collision, and it's a grid penalty! Oh no! Minico, next across the line, 4/10 up on the time. He goes up to 5th fastest, and it will be Cookie and Cam next. Cookie first, then Cam. Cookie for Red Bull's 20th pole of the season. It will be in his name, and it's even faster, 7-2. Cam trying to take away the front row. He could do it. AFJ goes 7th, but Cam will stay 3rd.
Oh, just missed out by 6 milliseconds there, and man, Owen is probably not going to be happy about that, because given where he is in the 8th place position, as Jack currently moseying his way around, that's going to mean that Owen, sadly, he is going to have to be stuck in 13th place.
Carlson just set a lap that is good enough for the front row, and he is 3/10 off the pole man, Cookie. For the 19th time this season, and on the last time on F123, Cookie, the season 10 champion, is on pole position. Is that a shock? No, it's not.
And the wildest thing is that Cookie just said in the driver's chat that time that he did the 7-2, he says that time is actually junk.
I think it was the first time that he did that seemed junk, because that message was from 5 minutes ago. I think we're delayed on that a little bit, but that's okay. That first time, though, considering that he said it was junk and he still would have been good enough for pole position, I think that's what's crazy about it, Titan. Cookie, Carlson, Joe Speed, Cam, Minico, the top 5. AFJ, another standout qualifying, 7th place, ahead of 3 of the Merc Academy drivers, Eggles being the highest one of those Merc Academy drivers. And now it's time to go over the strategy for tonight's race. Pit stop lost 20 seconds. ERS gained back 23% in the pit lane. Soft to hard, medium hard. You could revert the strategy. Those are likely strategies for tonight. Maybe a soft medium. We might see it from the Red Bull guys. We saw Owen do it in the Mercedes in Tier 2 in Season 11, his first race on PC. Do the medium to soft medium, which he was one of 2 drivers to do it. Maybe we see that again tonight, but again, it's just a rare thing. You can't do it if you're in the Ferrari cars, though, because the tire wear will absolutely kill your car. And chat, for the last time, get in your predictions here on F123 Titan. Will they avoid the usual trouble we see at turn 1, 2, and 3? I gotta ask it.
Truthfully, probably not. We might see a crash in the first couple of corners. If it doesn't happen in the Senna S, we might see something might see it in turn 4.
I hope we don't see it at all. These guys have been really, really clean on these opening laps here for this F123 game cycle in comparison to how we started off. It was Saudi Arabia, the second race, where we had the most DNFs. 5 seconds remaining. It's a dry race, and here we go.
Ooh.
One last dance on F123 and RPL as the 5 red lights come on for Brazil. And the lights are out, and away we go. Wheel spin from Cookie, but he'll deal with that later as he tries to defend Carlson. He got a good second phase, and now that allows the two McLarens to go at it, and there's a crash. It's Egg. Egg down the grid. Blue Goggies gain places. Axis gain places. 3 wide there, but Egg and Cam, the two who've been affected most.
Yeah, Egg tried to stick it in turn 1, just couldn't get it just right, and those two cars came together, and that was a bit of a disaster film right there. Meanwhile, a bit further towards the back, looks like the Chiller's caught off between the Alpina Hunted and the AlphaTauri Blue Goggy, but he's going down the inside in turn 7 to try to get himself up through the place to get out to the point, but Blue Goggy putting up a strong fight against him.
Jack Miles, Cryptic, AFJ. This was a big battle throughout the first phase of the opening lap. Now the second phase of it, later on, at the end of the lap, it still is continuing, but they're more spread out, though. They're a second away from Minico onto the second lap. Joe Speed and Carlson, though, a second away from Cookie, but very close to two teammates. Let's find out if they do a bit of swapping here down the main straight. Joe Speed through up into second place. The big winner on that opening lap, though, goes to Hunted and more yellow flags. This time it's SV around.
Yeah. Don't forget Cookie deciding to go on to the softest tire.
Hold on. Jack Miles almost forced AFJ off track, and that is Axe into the runoff and into the wall.
I just saw that as well. Looks like not sure what happened with Axe there, but AFJ having to deal with both. Acid Martin's fighting with them, with Jack and Cryptic all over the back of him, trying to put some major pressure to force AFJ into a mistake and allow Jack to just take off.
Can Cam pull off the recovery drive? Can Egg pull off the recovery drive? That will be the thing in question for this race now. Here comes Owen down the inside of Cryptic.
Ooh,
this is a late move on the brakes, and now he'll have the outside line, and he gets squeezed onto the curb. He can't do it. You see the tires that everyone chose. Quite a diverse strategy from this entire field.
Yeah, quite a bit of a who's who of what. But like I said, Cookie, Jack, Owen, and Axe taking advantage, going on to the softest compound first.
Whoa.
Owen down the inside.
Oh!
What happened to Cryptic?
Is off. Axe is out of this race in the pit lane. He's given up from whatever's happened there at turn 3 earlier on. Cryptic down and outside the points. That is absolutely worrying from Cryptic, that he went off similar to how some guys did in Season 5 in this race, Titan, if you remember that one.
Yeah, Cryptic has something really go wrong for him. There's no doubt about that. But Cryptic was hanging around in 7th place, now all the way down in P12.
Tadpole and Red Fire, there was a little move there made earlier on. Now Tadpole is squeezing DeChiller onto the curb, and here comes DeChiller back at it down the inside here. He'll have the chance to squeeze Tadpole back, but they race it fair, side by side still. Tadpole and DeChiller now leaning on one another. Tadpole through for now. DeChiller still wants back at it. Blue Goggy's there in the mix as well in contention for points. He had a really great start, and he's still taking advantage. And now the McLarens, they'll swap it for second place. Carlson ahead of Joe Speed. Owen ahead of AFJ. And now, this is still not done tight between these two. Tadpole and DeChiller.
Oh, it's not done at all as DeChiller shoots it down the inside, gets it done up in the 9th place. But now Blue Goggy closing in on Tadpole to try to get himself into that last point position at the moment, but Tadpole still within the DRS of DeChiller. Just can't seem to get close for an attack. And I also just saw, it looks like the McLarens are still battling against each other for to see who will be the further ahead for second. And that's not only making Cookie pull further away, it's also bringing Minico and Jack into the fight.
SV, who lagged out moments ago, has joined back the session. He's really down and out of it if he wants to contend for points tonight or a good result. Hunted, the same thing could be said about him. He pitted on the opening lap after his troubles that he had and that Cam and Egg skirmish there at turn 1. You were right about the McLarens. I'm interested to see what happens because they started on the hards compared to Cookie and Jack and Owen on the soft. And another move being made, meanwhile, for second place. Carlson through. Jack Miles right on the tail of Minico, putting pressure. And down the inside, late lunge. Jack Miles still remaining side by side. These two are teammates at one point on the F1 23 game cycle. But Jack Miles is through, and Minico is still not done. We had some moves further on back, and that DRS train back there. But Minico up into 4th place once again.
Yeah, Minico really holding his own up against Jack here as these guys just fighting it out again. But now that's going to give the McLaren pair ahead a little bit of breathing room against with Jack and Minico as these two continue to battle out. But still, as it goes on, Cookie's still leading the charge, 5 seconds clear of the McLaren pair.
Well, I'll tell you this. Jack Miles versus Minico, soft versus hard. No surprise Minico went on the hards, considering he's in a Ferrari-powered car with that horrible tire wear. But for Jack Miles to be on the softs, nice surprise there. And this reminds me of their Portugal battle, where they were non-stop trading the places late in the race for a podium. This time it's for 4th place, and it could be a potential podium if these two McLarens continue to squawk it around. SV around, that's a virtual safety car. And Jack Miles was able to just get Minico before it was deployed.
So SV, the cause of the virtual safety car that has occurred. And he is the first car to go a lap down in this race. So that is the deal there. But now, with the field frozen temporarily, we'll have to wait and see what's going to be happening as this progresses onwards.
Though we didn't mention a lot of it, Titan, the battle for 2nd place in the Constructors is still very important. Ferrari has it, McLaren wants it. That's why McLaren is so keen on having one driver in front of the other. SV drive-through under the VSC. His woes continue once again. However, with this VSC being out for as long as it was, and it may be catching Jack off there. Jack off, I did that again.
Of course he did.
You got
again.
Owen and AFJ close to them. Egg gets Blugagi, and he's still gonna challenge it, Blugagi, on Egg. Blugagi, if you saw the Tier 2 race yesterday, he's one not to give up a fight, and Egg just squeezing past. That was quite tight.
That was a very good attack. By Egg there. And Cryptic now is thinking, I'm gonna follow suit. I'm following my Academy teammate through, and he is up into 12th place right now.
Minico and Jack, another swap between them just happened, and I think the two McLarens, the big thing for them, DRSing off one another. Yup, Jack and Minico once again. Jack, I think, letting Owen go, and Owen, from that grid penalty that he had, 5 places, is up 8 places now, up into 5th, and DeChiller up into 8th. He was leading the first race of this game cycle in Australia. Now, he's about to be close to DRS right here, and you saw, I think, right there at turn 6, Titan, AFJ giving bump to Jack. You don't want to do that, especially being an Alfa Romeo compared to an Aston Martin. He's got a lot of patience he'll need to have here, AFJ, if he wants to get another place in these guys. He's got a lot of pace, but as we saw last week with Matthew Bissett, one of his mates, you can have a lot of pace, but you gotta keep your frustrations in check.
Absolutely, and as you were mentioning a little bit ago, the battle for 2nd place in the Constructors right now, currently at this present time, McLaren holding 2nd and 3rd. That's 33 points on the board for them at this present moment, while Ferrari is looking at a grand total of 16. Yeah, very nice shot by AFJ to down the inside, getting 6th place from Jack right there.
I was worried it might have been moving under braking right there at turn 1 from AFJ squeezing Jack, and now Jack will have the inside preferred line right here. Cryptic and Egg going back at it. Jack Miles through, and Cryptic ahead of Red Fire Tiger. Egg now giving a bit of taps to Red Fire Tiger. He's saying, move on with it. You have a penalty. We need to go. They're not playing around right there for 11th place.
Now, bear in mind, also, Egg has completely destroyed his ERS availability. He has only 6%.
Man, he almost got it all wrong into the braking zone, Titan. I thought he was going to spin Red Fire around, and that is a spin. That is our race leader, Cookie! Again! And it's happened in another race where he's been in control, and this time it was a 6-second gap. Now, Carlson takes over the race lead.
What in the world happened to him?
I think he wants to have a bit of competition because he's going to take back the lead of the race with both McLaren swapping once again. AFJ battling Jack, Cryptic battling Tadpole, and this race has been wide open.
I think Carlson slowed down because when Cookie was getting the car back up to speed and Carlson passed him, it was still under yellow flags. Speaking of yellow flags, Egg and Red Fire crashed.
Oh, I just missed that. Red Fire got a 5-second time penalty to spare with it, too.
And we have another VSC.
That's going to hamper this race for those guys.
Yeah.
I would say, the hards.
Yeah, what I was trying to say was that when Carlson passed Cookie, they did have yellow flags out, so I'm guessing maybe when Carlson passed Cookie, the game was like, you illegally overtook. Give the position back.
Cookie going to the driver's chat immediately and saying, I am stupid. Well, Charles Leclerc used those words once before, and hopefully he doesn't use them tomorrow in Monaco.
At least he didn't DNF. If he DNF'd, he'd be going. I can't do it like Leclerc does.
I was going to say, good thing, like, for Cookie's sake as well, that he didn't get disqualified either. Here comes AFJ, having another go at Jack Miles. He's back up into 6th place, retaking that place. And Cryptic getting Tadpole. Tadpole couldn't retain that place. It was Cryptic getting it. Pitting his Egg, pitting his Red Fire, and I don't know if Egg is going to give up here or not from that, and he does. Yep, that is very unfortunate for Egg, who had trouble on lap 1, and again when battling Red Fire.
Well, I probably know there's going to be some war words between Red Fire and Egg on that one, but
here it comes.
I think when these guys, after the race, these guys are probably going to have to submit their clips into the steward's office, and the stewards are going to have to figure out what in the world happened between the two.
Egg just pings Red Fire Tiger and says, inspiring! Well, interesting. Red Fire Tiger is onto the soft tires after that melee that they had. Well, I think you're right, though, about Carlson having to give that place back under the yellow flags, but it's definitely changed the complexion of this race between how both McLarens will play it out. They swap once again. Carlson in front of Joe Speed, and now Owen on the inside line here on the main straight, getting through on Minico, and still more battle is continuing. Titan, we got AFJ and Jack. Now to Chiller in this fight. Down the inside, side by side.
Baby.
Jack squeezing, Jack in front, the Chiller. Did he overtake off track right there? He might have to give it back.
Well, to be fair, I think even if the Chiller does get himself in a bit of trouble for that, he's probably gonna be fine. He'll counter argue saying Alex Fox was really loose. He came into my lane. I was forced off by him. So I mean, that's what I call on my end, because literally AFJ was super loose and the Chiller had to go off to avoid him.
Well, I'll say this right now. The Chiller took advantage, and I'll give you the counter argument to your point about defending the Chiller. Well, if you purposely gain speed and propel yourself ahead by going off track when you know you could just back out right there, then what was the point in doing that? That will be maybe one of the arguments provided right there, but the game didn't get involved themselves and give him a 5-second penalty for it, but he'll try to get the place now on Jack Miles and make the overtake here. Main straight, the Chiller ducking out, and he is past Jack Miles.
The speed of the Ferrari, whether with or without DRS, is very strong, and he gets a clear of Jack up into 6th place. And meanwhile, there's also a little bit further ahead. Just want to mention it. Owen has passed Minico to get himself into 4th place. That is actually going to be some good news for McLaren, because with Ferrari losing positions, this is going to help them.
That is very true. Also a move that was made in the main straight. Titan, Cam got by Academy teammate for tonight, Blue Goggy. Cam not doing the best he can in that recovery drive, but the difference between him and Egg, who are doing the recovery drives, is that he's still in this race. Egg is not.
Yeah. I mean, I feel a little gut. I feel a bit gutted for Egg there, because he had a little bit of a mishap in turn 1, lap 1. where he had a little bit of a bump with Cam, was working his way back through the field and trying to get it back through the field, and then that thing with Red Fire just really messed things up. And meanwhile, by the way, Jack all over the back of the Chiller. This is a fight for 6th place here. Tadpole against
Whoa!
Cryptic. Cryptic.
Cam
Ooh, baby.
with the double overtake for now, but Tadpole hangs on. Sorry, Titan.
Oh, you're all good. I just noticed that too.
Oh my goodness. Jack got the Chiller at the braking zone.
Yep,
He's through. You
ahead.
saw that further up in front. And Cam, meanwhile, through. And the Chiller gets his annual race penalty for track limits.
Yeah, but like I said, if one of those warnings was for that thing with Alex,
That's
with
true.
AFJ, he could get that removed.
But he just can't get another warning with it, though.
Exactly.
So that's going to be the big thing that will definitely hamper the Chiller's race if he ends up getting another warning for track limits, which he seems to always do. It's been a repeating thing race by race through this game cycle. It happened in the first ever race, and, well, that's why he was at a disadvantage compared to TB in Australia that race. So Chiller does have a win this game cycle, though, by the way. That came back at Imola.
Ooh.
And what happened there with Cryptic and Tadpole, maybe?
Well,
Was
I
it
thought
them?
Tadpole had a bit of a snap, but it looks like he had a pair of lag spikes and
Whoa!
thread the needle.
Yeah, that happened. Cam happened. It's all happening.
Yeah, Cryptic Go just trying to thread the needle, get past both of them. He had it temporarily, but just can't get it. I mean, unfortunately, Cam has
Two
the
battles
advantage of
here,
the
Titan.
DRS. Heading into turn number 4, it's a brawl between these two, and Cam upends that fight.
AFJ through. AFJ, I think, had to give it back. He gave it to the Chiller then. Jack Miles had to concede a little bit of speed to not hit the back of the Alfa Romeo driver. And you were right about Cryptic threading the needle. I just caught the end of that with that all happening. We had 2 DRS train battles there on the main straight, one with 3 cars, this one with 4 cars. And I have to give a fair shout to Blue Goggy, keeping his nose clean besides the start, of course. And in his Tier 1 return, obviously improving a bit of pace, but improving a bit of racecraft. Kind of helping out Cam here, just battling these guys to make sure Cam can pull away. Doing the right thing a race early for this academy. And a swap for McLaren? Nope, didn't happen.
Well, they may have
Jack
to
is
figure
in.
out something.
Jack is the first one of the soft guys to blink. Sorry, Titan.
Yeah, you're all good. I just seen that as well. And Tadpole, the first of the medium tire guys in.
Ooh.
So
I knew
now,
these soft guys would be pitting, but these medium guys quite early.
yeah. Well, Jack is going on to the medium compound tire, and he really keeps the management strong. He can go the rest of the race on this compound. Now, this is going to be wondering, in regards to Owen and Cookie, how will they react?
AFJ basically bump drafting the Chiller into turn 6. And you may wonder why I gave that reaction. Well, here's the thing. You may have seen the chats, Titan, before this race between AFJ and JNT, the team principal of Ferrari. AFJ, not too happy about not getting a chance in Ferrari tonight. He wanted it very badly. He even went to the extent of calling the Chiller shocking, which a lot of the grid has said that before. But that is why this inter-team battle, academy team battle, is very big at Ferrari right now tonight. The Chiller, who started at the back of the grid with the qualifying ban, up to 6th place. Owen pits for the first time in this race.
Yeah, so Owen responding to his teammate going in as AFJ down the inside against the Chiller. He goes up into 5th place, but that means the Chiller will have the opportunity to attack going into turn number 4. We'll stay on tune with that one. I'm wondering when Cookie will be reacting to go in here, because the Chiller down the inside, and he gets it back. He gets the position back.
Owen's going to come out in a very interesting spot. It's going to be right ahead of Valkyrie right there, the Academy teammate. And I'm interested to see when other guys do pit, if they come out anywhere near the female driver right there. And Valkyrie will have to let Jack Miles go. And she does. Not usually a part of that Academy, but is for today. Just trying to stay out of the way. Log laps. Learn things here. Usually does automatic gearbox, but running manual for tonight, as she's in the Tier 1 race for the 2nd ever time in RPL. So very nice to see her. Cookie is in
yeah.
response to what you were saying. Yes, very big for that. And the 2 McLarens trade places on the main straight. Joe Speed takes the lead of this race. And Cookie's onto mediums. I don't think that's a shock, but considering he spun on those soft tires, if he has a mistake like that on these medium tires, can he get it to the end?
Well, what do you expect? It's Cookie. I think he can't.
Oh,
he's
yeah, but
capable of doing
you
it.
just don't know. You just don't know. This will be interesting, though, because Cam is ahead of Cookie. Yes. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to dart to the left, give him a toe, and maybe will he play the team game here and let him go after turn 5 right here? He's going to pull out, letting off the throttle, letting off.
Yep.
Cookie gaining ahead. And now Cam will fend off Cryptic, Goggy, and Owen, who's 6 seconds behind. So I think Owen is actually in a really good spot to dispatch Minico and maybe get 4th place in this race. It's a big possibility. He's on the medium tires. He's going soft mediums just like Cookie did. I said it was a big possibility, Titan. It's great for race pace, but you don't see a lot of drivers do it. Jack, Cookie, Owen, the only ones to do it.
That's highly likely. And look, oh, Joe Speed's in.
Oh! Cam had a massive snap on the rear, and he'll have Cryptic close up to DRS, and you're exactly right. The first of the McLaren guys to blink. I just think that's big, though, for Cam to do that, because he was almost able to pull DRS right there, and he still has yet to pit over Cryptic and Goggy. And AFJ is another one to join the drivers to pit in this race. Joe Speed on the mediums. He started on hards, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, good. I was going to say, that would be a little bit worrying if he went medium. Drag raced on the main straight. Tadpole and Valkyrie. One is pitted, one is not. But these two, Academy teammates during the season in Tier 2, now they'll be battling for a place outside the points for tonight, which is nice.
And just taking a peek, took a peek at some of the sections here. Joe Speed has come out 2 seconds ahead of Owen, down in P8, and AFJ is currently out of the points at this moment. He came out in P11.
The Chiller has been overtaken by Cookie right there. The Chiller yet to pit. He has a penalty. Keep that in mind for a leader in this race. But the Chiller, his last race in Ferrari before he goes back to kick Sauber. And during this game cycle, the Chiller was only able to pick up 1 win. That came in Imola, and that was a mixed conditions race. If you want to watch that, go to our YouTube channel. That was quite a thriller.
Cryptic are in.
Oh boy. Cryptic, get it down, get it down. Oh, that was so close. Both them locking the rears, trying to get it down below the speed limit, and not speed right there. That was so tight.
Sideways.
Yeah, he was. We spoke about full-time drives for next season, Titan. Cam on the Mercedes. Cryptic on softs, by the way, going to V-Carb next season. Joe Speed threw on Blue Goggy. Blue Goggy, the full-time V-Carb driver for next season as well, in Tier 2.
Yeah, this is gonna be quite. That's gonna be quite a stacked field, as you're mentioning. I mean, tier 2, tier 1. It's gonna be full of uniqueness and wildness, to say the least. So you said in tier 1, only the Williams is open, right?
Yeah, the 2 Williams spots are what's open for next season in Tier 1. That is correct. Our leader is in of Carlson.
Comes in.
Tier 2, I think the only other spot open, I think it's just 1 Williams, maybe? I could be wrong. I had a list. I don't know where it went. You can look at it in the Tier 1 Discord. Or Tier 2 Discord.
So good. And speaking of which, Cookie just set the fastest lap, and he is all over the back of Minico. I mean, literally, this did not take him long. Literally, he pitted like 2 laps ago, and he's already back in the lead now.
But the interesting thing, though, is that Titan, he got a big undercut on Carlson and Joe Speed, the gap being 7 seconds right there. And Owen said, "See you later, Blue Goggy. I'm not spending any more time behind you here." not gonna happen.
Blue Goggy is basically playing a bit of the Iron Man game, because he has gone 19 laps on these medium tires.
Yeah. This should become an interesting race here to the end. That's for sure. Even if there are guys not contending for the lead, not contending for the win, shall get interesting. See where they play out. Carlson on the back of Blue Goggy, and oh no! Goggy's been tapped, and I don't know if Goggy was trying to let him go. Get out of the way.
Or didn't get up
or
to speed.
stay ahead. But that is troubling. Miniko in. Oh, that's another spinner. That is a Red Fire Tiger who's
Oh
mowing the
boy.
lawn. Cryptic on Tadpole.
I just wanted to catch a net on my end. I think Carlson might be in trouble for that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I just don't know if Blue Goggy was trying to let him go or not, though. I was thinking he was getting out of the way there to maybe get the DRS before Goggy would pit, because he's not pit so far this race. Maybe trying to extend to the softs, hope for a safety car, or if he was just that much slower on those tires. And Hunted gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Remember, Hunted has 1 4th place finish in tier 1. No podium to his name. He came close a few times this season with the pace he's had, but this one is going to be one where it's not going to go in his favor. And I may have to change controller batteries soon, so I'm just going to wait until Cam passes Blue Goggy to do that. Academy teammates, Blue Goggy, Cam. Cam, not going to go for it. But, remember, not always Academy teammates, just for tonight. Cam will be in Mercedes full-time next season, Blue Goggy and V-Carb, and finally they do swap it around there at Red Bull. And Blue Goggy is finally in, the last of the drivers in the points to pit.
Well, don't forget, the Chiller is still yet to come in as well. He is still on those hard tires. 21 laps on them in the Ferrari, which is really surprising because, as we know with this game cycle, Ferrari is notorious for having the absolute worst tire wear in the game. And the Chiller just going long on these tires. The last thing is that, I mean, like I said, with Carlson, I mean, yeah, he is probably going to be facing. He could be facing a collision that he had with Blue Goggy, but currently at this present moment, he is well over 5 seconds clear of Jack. So even if he got himself a 5-second penalty, he's still going to maintain the position that he's in.
The interesting question, though, will be, Titan, is will Red Bull or even Ferrari Academy or any academy choose to report that incident? Here comes Miniko on the back of Jack Miles. This is an interesting one because Miniko just recently pitted. Jack Miles and AFJ both pitted prior to this. Yep. Owen and the Chiller. Yep. Move right there for 3rd place. Owen has it, and he really jumped up ahead of Carlson here. Very interesting from Owen. Could be getting another podium in a different team this game cycle. And Carlson threw on the Chiller. Miniko threw on Jack, and nope, not clear just yet. Now he is.
Yeah, Miniko back up into the 6th place spot, which will be net P5 at this moment because the Chiller still has yet to pit, and at this moment, what's the pit stop loss at this track?
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Well, that means, the Chiller's gonna go all the way down to 11th.
I'm not sure if Owen backed off there on Carlson to get the DRS or not, but there was a move made there.
I think that's what he did, yeah.
For 3rd, yep. And here comes Owen now on the main straight to tackle this place back. Here comes Owen, letting off, still letting off,
Yeah, he's
and
playing DRS
not going to
games.
go for it.
That's for sure.
AFJ is going to go wheel to wheel with Jack Miles and will get the upper edge for 7th place. A nice little battle these two have had. It's actually been quite clean between the pair of them, except for, I think, the moving under braking at turn 1 once there from AFJ. Besides that, they've kept it quite tight, and yeah, tight on the traction there from Jack, trying to get on the power at turn 2 into 3.
Meanwhile, I was on board with Owen. He was looking for a peak, but just wasn't close enough to go for the attack against Carlson. So Carlson will keep that 3rd place for the time being, pending what will happen between him and Blue Goggy. Honestly, in that one, but yeah, I think Owen is potentially looking for a potential podium here. But meanwhile, the Chiller's still yet to pit.
I can't believe that. I really can't believe that. He's really hoping for a safety car here. But if he's extending this long, though, he might even be going to the soft tires. And he's in.
He is going to. He's coming in now.
Yeah, I just wonder what tires he'll go to. He cannot speed, and he did just that!
About 6 mile an hour over.
Oh. The Chiller, you cannot be making mistakes like that. Owen in DRS pursuit of Carlson, boosting on his battery, but cannot get through. AFJ and Jack is another battle we're looking at. Usually by the end of these races, we'd have more than just 2 battles to look at. But right now, that's only 4 set of cars going at it with one another. The Chiller comes out 11th, but he's going to have a lot of time to make up, considering he has the 3-second penalty for track limits, which could get appealed potentially. And he has the 5-second to spare, for good measure, of that speeding penalty that he picked up just a minute ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And literally with these guys that want to pit in, I mean, they're on varying degrees of tires available to them. I mean, in regards to the guys all on the mediums in the top 8, Minico is the freshest of the 8.
Yeah. Everybody inside the top 13 in this race have made 1 stop. Redfire with 2. Hunted with 3. Tadpole now getting pressurized from the Chiller. Tadpole, he has 3 P4 finishes in RPL Tier 1, but none this game cycle. It's not been the best of game cycles for him, but he's just been overtaken for a point spot and may be able to hold it within 8 seconds of the Chiller. I just don't know in terms of where those soft tires will be at. Maybe the Ferrari tire will kick in later on. Meanwhile, a battle still brewing for 6th place. AFJ has it. Jack, Miles, and Cam, they both want to take it.
Yeah, especially with Cam, because he really needs to get into it, try to get some more positions, because he really does not want to be in that P8 spot. Especially given that lap 1 kerfuffle that he had with Egg at the start of this race. But meanwhile, just looking at everything here, because currently at the moment, if the race ended right now, and with a penalty, with a 5-second penalty applied, McLaren will be walking out with 30 points to their credit.
Jack Miles giving Cryptic the spot there for P7, and here comes Cam with that's Cam, not Cryptic, excuse me, I messed that one up, I think.
Yeah, he did.
Yep, Cam now through on AFJ with an opportunistic move into turn 1. That's Cam, guys, not Cryptic. I'm so used to seeing Cryptic in the Red Bull this game cycle. He's been in it quite a bit, but now Cam having some pressure from AFJ into turn 4. They'll remain wheel to wheel, leaning on one another off the corner, and now AFJ...
Pumping.
It's still banging between the two. This is going to get nasty if they continue to bang it out like this. But Cam excelling ahead. Nice little move there. Spot on for P6. Could go for P5 now in Minico.
Yeah, what a stomping fight between these guys.
Owen just made a big mistake there at the last corner of Sector 2 into Sector 3 right there. And he was going to be in DRS Titan of Carlson, but he's now completely lost it. What a mistake there from the Irishman.
And no one should not want to make too many mistakes. Because he has to stay within 5 seconds of Carlson if he wants that podium. In the event if Blue Gagi does turn in Carlson for that incident earlier in the event. And like I said, McLaren is looking at 30 points to their credit. Meanwhile, Ferrari, even if the Chiller does get that 3-second penalty taken off, Ferrari's only going to be looking at 11 points, which means unofficially at this moment, counting Carlson's penalty and the Chiller's penalty being removed, McLaren will claim second in the Constructors by 11 points.
Well, they really should be taking second in the Constructors' Championship, considering they led the Constructors' Championship at one point earlier on in the season. Something else to mention as well, we've lost 3 runners from this race, and that is Haas's 13th DNF of the season. Unfortunate for them with the way things have gone. Another thing as well to mention is Owen just off Carlson. Think about that battle right there. They're trying to catch Joe Speed for second place. And with Joe Speed having second place in this race, if there's no safety car in this race, think about when Cookie spun earlier in the race. That was a 6-second gap and he lost the lead, right? Well, technically, with no safety car, that's a net 17-second gap Cookie would have. Similar to the domination he had in Austria when he won by 20 seconds. And with how short of a track Brazil and Austria is, I have to give the fair credit right there. AFJ moving around and cannot get through. While that happened, Titan, DeChiller did overtake Cryptic for 9th, and he's really going to try to get that 5-second gap if possible.
Well, he definitely has that 5-second gap over Tadpole, that's for sure. But with Cryptic's case, he has to gain another 2.2 seconds in order to have that done. So it's gonna be pretty tight, to say the least.
That's for sure. I just want to give people another reminder. We are racing on F124 next game. Don't know when, especially with the way the handling model and everything has been presented to us. It may be a bit of a wait, but when we do, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, make sure you tune into action for that by following on the RPL Formula 1 Twitch and YouTube to catch the race replay or the live event, which will be at Bahrain.
Fun times.
Yes, it will be. Here comes AFJ once again on Cam. Cam just can't seem to get AFJ out of his DRS, and this is the troubling thing. AFJ is able to sit behind. He's got no battery to spare, but he's able to conserve any battery if he wants to. And Jack Miles is just like, yeah, you two battle it out. I'll wait till probably lap 35 or 36 to make an attack. That'll be fine.
Cam having to deal against AFJ. I mean, AFJ is basically like a swarm of mosquitoes. Just Cam, no matter how many times Cam tries to swat him away, AFJ just keeps coming back.
That is very true. Carlson within DRS now of Joe Speed for second place in this race. And Cookie, remember, if he does get a safety car or late safety car by chance, 20% in that battery, so not in a good spot if we have a very quick safety car to end the race. But we've kept it safety car free, and I'm glad to say that's the case. I just don't want to jinx anything because this would be a good way to end off the F123 game cycle and Season 10, the longest ever RPL F1 season. Yellow flag.
Battery's off.
Yeah. She will now be within the proximity of red fire now.
And lap 2.
That's true. Yep, Cookie did just lap her. So, we've got 6 laps to go. And Titan, I've got to say, this is one of Cookie's better performances in recent races. He did it from the back of the grid in Texas from P17 and got an 8-second gap for the win, not his usual 10+ seconds. Still impressive at that. Last week, Skither took the fight to him. I think in Las Vegas, I'd want to say people were close, but you had the late safety car that changed things in terms of Cookie's gap that he could pull. And also before that, China, a late safety car. And even before then, he had drivers within about 5 seconds of him. This is one of Cookie's more dominant victories he's looking to take, and it would be Red Bull's 90th F1 win. Quite the historic milestone for that team, and as well for Cookie, who, if you think about it, technically has a net 20-second lead right now.
Yeah, basically, and that war, looking back at it, this war between Cam and AFJ is still not over. I don't know whether they're just still staying with them.
I have to give AFJ a lot of props in this Alfa Romeo. I know he really wants that Ferrari so badly, but keep having races like this where you're clean, not a hazard, and still having great pace at the same time. He got himself in a Q3, worked with it quite well, and he's in DRS to Cam still. He's not letting Cam go, and Cam's not a slack at all, that's for sure. And he's definitely...
actually, if I want to say this piece, and I'm actually just going to do the voice on this piece, if I'm thinking like AFJ here, given where he is and seeing the chiller down in 9th, he'd be going to G&T, he'd be going like, you see that? If you put me in a Ferrari, we would have gotten second in the constructors, but no, you had to put the chiller in, you cost Ferrari second in the constructors.
Well, to be fair, Titan, even if Ferrari had finished, let's say, 5th and 6th, or maybe even 4th and 5th, McLaren have outraced Ferrari today quite well, even with Minico on loan. And oh, you're right, though. Hunted did get by red fire while that happened. You're right, though, because with AFJ, Obviously, the Chiller's the full-time driver. Minico is not. But with AFJ, I really want to see him get next game with this performance today. Because if he does, he will get another opportunity in a top car once again. I remember that Alpine performance just, what was it, 56 races ago that he got a podium with that team. Led Q1, led Q2, qualified on the front row just behind ads. And he got a top car with Mercedes for a short period of time. He kind of really screwed his own chances of keeping it. But at the same time, this is quite the redemption arc, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, a little bit. To be fair, thinking about it, and literally just seeing him right now, he is still putting a stomping fight onto Cam at this present moment. And literally, I think at one point the highest gap that Cam had over AFJ at one point was nearly 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, the battle is still not over. 13.5 seconds for that race lead as we enter lap 34 of this race. And bravo, Cookie. You know, when the documentary comes out on the RPL YouTube, there may not be a lot of content on that documentary specifically due to how much he's dominated races, but it's domination which we've not seen the likes of before. You have many records he's either broke or tied during this season. And one of the records he's currently got equaled is most podiums in a single season by a driver, which Luke Grange and him are tied with, 19. I believe Cookie has barely a better percentage. No, Luke has a better percentage because there were less races in Season 3. Yep. Cookie would have if he was not off the podium in Singapore, but coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? With Cookie, though, he'd have more podiums in a single season at 20 if he can just cruise home with the victory or the podium today. 2 laps to go. He's got a 13.9 gap, and it's still not over for second place. Carlson trying to equal his best finish. I think he had his second place finish. It's either a second or a third. And Joe Speed in his only a second start, trying to claim a first podium. Bravo to him as well.
Absolutely, and I mean, really recently, the Alpine Academy has been showing some really strong signs. Like with Joe Speed in a second start, looking at his first podium. And then think back to China last month, where Leo Lund in the Alpine put that car on a podium.
Yeah, very true. By the way, Titan, I want to mention this because of Cookie taking another podium today. If he can just do that, he would end up overtaking... Oh, AFJ, that's big. That's a track limit penalty for 6th place. Well, the battle for 6th place. Wowzers. We got Hunted and Valk battling. We'll watch this while we talk about this, Titan. But as for... Jack Miles through. But as for Cookie's sake, I just want to mention, if he takes a podium today, he will pass Jack Miles and Malley on the all-time podium list with 23, making it 24. 3 wide in the main straight.
Okay, so... for Cryptic, I know he is about 10 seconds behind, but maybe he should try to put some extra nitrous into that car because the Chiller is not going to get his 3-second track limit penalty removed because he got a warning on lap 31.
Wow. AFJ threw up into 6th, but he's got a penalty to spare. The Chillers caught this train. Cam finally pulled out of DRS. And Redfire Hunted Valk still continue to battle. Cookie is entering the final sector in just a moment, but second place up for grabs. Watch that in the main straight when we get there, but also one other credit to Owen, Titan, who got the 5 previous grid penalty and has got up to 4th from P13.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
The Season 10 champion has showed once again why he's the man to put in the best car possible. Red Bull's 90th F1 win is going to come at the hands of the man who spun and won today. What a dominant performance from Cookie, who ends off the F1 23 game cycle, winning Brazil. And a fight to the line. It's a McLaren drag race. Joe Speed's first podium will be on the 3rd step, not the 2nd step. Carlson gets it, and Owen spun. Owen will be 4th place, not in the battle for 3rd. Minico.
Look at the gap.
5th, yes. If he does get a 5-second for that incident, that will be big. Drag race, neck and neck. Jack Miles gets the Chiller on track. It was Cam who's 6th. Cam with a decent result, some points to add to his name. Minico at top 5. Jack, 7th place. Alex Fox Johnson 8th, and the points for Alfa Romeo, the Chiller, and then TSR Cryptic rounding out our final points spot.
Wow. And seeing it as we're looking at it, even with what's going on, McLaren has secured second place in the constructors from Ferrari.
One other thing to mention as well, Jack Miles, I believe he will get 4th place in the Drivers' Championship with that result. I think he was just previously 5th behind Reese. Yes, he will. Jack Miles takes 4th place in the Drivers' Championship for not a first time, not a second time, but I believe a 3rd time in his RPL F1 career. Here we go. The podium celebrations for one last time at F123. Red Bull, McLaren. Cookie gets Red Bull's 90th F1 win. Cookie's 18th on the season. His 20th podium on the season. And he'll pass Malley 41 and Jack Miles in the all-time podium list for, I believe, 9th place. Joe Speed, a first podium in his second start. Carlson, a second podium for him, the Swedish driver. We've got, I think, Ira and Maxwell G 2.0 right here in that McLaren. 1, 2, 3, the same way it was in qualifying.
Absolutely. And
final results.
Yeah. So, honestly, I think I have 2 main contenders for driver today. I do have also 3, but it's basically an outside looking in. That person I'm going to be mentioning is Cookie, putting on yet another strong, dominating performance. But the 2 main contenders, it's going to be between Joe Speed, his second ever Tier 1 start, and ends up with a podium. Fair credit to him.
Fair play.
And then you had Owen, who I can't remember the last time he was ever in a big Tier 1, in one of the top Tier 1 cars. Got stuck with a 5-place grid drop at the end of Q3 after an accidental collision with his teammate Egg. Started all the way in 13th and recovered the 4th, and was basically a prominent hunter for the podium. So I want to give fair credit to Owen. That's my other contender for a driver today.
Owen, Joe Speed, Cookie. That's my 3. That's my top 3. No particular order. Fair credit to those guys. Wow. Joe Speed. He got his first podium at the last race of the F123 game cycle. A lot of expectations next game for him, that's for sure. That'll be interesting to find out what happens there. Carlson, second podium for him. I did say Ira and Maxwell 2.0. I mean, Maxwell had quite a bit of podiums in RPL F1, 39 to be exact. But Carlson taking a second. He's got a bright future here. And one of his mates, Cookie, well, a 15-second gap. I mean, it's quite self-explanatory in itself. He spun earlier on, and maybe that would have been the biggest gap of the Tier 1 game cycle, because I think the biggest gap was either Monaco, either Monaco or Australia, Austria, excuse me. Monaco when Reese won in Season 9, or Austria when Cookie won earlier this season for the biggest gap, margin of victory, whatever you want to call it, in the Tier 1 game cycle. You think about the amount of time that Cookie lost from that spin, about 6 seconds. A big what if, of course, but it would have been a 21-second gap if it weren't for that. It's crazy to think about, if he did not pull off that dumb mistake that he made, what the gap could have, should have, and would have been.
So just taking a look at the driver chat, and as you were mentioning about the whole thing with the Carlson and Blue Gagi, Carlson actually just confirmed on his end that Blue Gagi was basically stopped on the track, and he said he wasn't sure if he tried to let him go or what, but he just failed miserably.
All right, Titan. F124 is in front of us, and that will be released next week. a lot of question marks around that in terms of the way the game handles, the way the game is. A lot of glitches, a lot of this, a lot of that. So much talk. The start may get delayed. Start may not. We don't know what will happen, but we had our most successful game cycle of RPL and F123, I'd argue. There's a lot of statistics to back that up, but, and that's an opinion, of course, not a fact, but what do you expect into F124 as we're about to end off the stream for one last time on this game cycle?
I mean, from what we've seen, it's a lot of people are crapping on it, saying it's really bad, and it could be dubbed one of the worst F1 titles ever. But I'm hoping maybe some of the issues that was in this game is not going to be there for next game, and hopefully it'll be a better overall feeling experience. But we'll have to wait and see. But this will be interesting to see what will happen for F124.
I think we've got quite the commentary lineup ready for next game as well. We've got that quite sorted to where we made sure we have a stream every race and 2 commentators, which is quite nice to say the least. It's always nice. Yeah, so, and also another storyline to talk about in the next game, when we will get there, of course, in a few weeks' time. Red Bull have been in the points for 50 consecutive races. So, fair play to them as well. Cookie on a 7 consecutive podium streak as well, by the way. We also continued a streak today as well of having a different pole sitter each race in Brazil. There's so much to look forward to in F124, Titan.
Indeed.
All right, folks. RPL Titan Iron, Ryan Searles, covering the action on F123 and into F124, signing off and saying goodbye to you guys. We thank you so much for those of you who joined us during the F123 game cycle, whether it was during Formula Endurance for our short time there, Formula 2 for the 2 seasons, which will be coming back next game, F1 Tier 1, F1 Tier 2, and many more events, whether it's through our YouTube, our Twitch, our Instagram and Twitter /X, which has been revived. Whatever it may be that you see RPL on, we thank you so much for joining us on this game cycle, whether it be through watching, through racing, admin, commentator, you name it. And I'm pleased as well to get the opportunity to commentate here in RPL on this game cycle. I always watched this league from the very start when it was Engineering Polo God, at the very, very beginning in Season 2 and Season 1. Watching the streams actively on a week-to-week basis with Titan commentating it. Season 4, Season 5, Season 6, you name it. And now commentating alongside him and doing it for almost a full year here in RPL. Will be a full year when we do start the next game cycle at the very start of it. But I am blessed for the opportunity. I'd like to thank the admins and you as well, Titan, for getting it to them to make quite the historic commentary lineup, I'd say, for some time to come. So I just wanted to end off that message, and that's my goodbye message for F123, by the way, to end off this game. It sucks we're leaving this game cycle, but we're leaving it on quite high hopes and quite a high note for F124. Until next time on F124, or where else you see us, Ryan Searles, RPL Titan Iron, some even know him as Ryan Collier, funny enough.
Yep.
We'll see you guys next time.
Yarnars.
Have a good one, and we'll see you then. Goodbye, and good night.